Creating balance and me time has been really one of the greatest challenges in my life, to be honest. So I've done a lot of personal work in that area. And I've thought about it a lot as well because, I mean, we talk about it so much in our society today, which makes you wonder why is that? And it's because there's a lack of it. And again, you start questioning, well, why? I mean, why are we so out of balance in today's world? I think again that there's this push to keep achieving and pushing ourselves, and it's almost become what I call a post-human kind of a society, where we are expected to work pretty much like machines, and we are not. We are human beings, and there are certain needs and desires that are completely legitimate and that enrich us and our lives that are kind of falling behind. So we have to gather them up again and bring them back into our lives, and that's really, really fundamental. We kind of live day to day, schedule to schedule, and we're so overscheduled. And what we end up doing is that in terms of our priorities, everything that is work-oriented is prioritized way before anything that is perceived to be personal. It's almost seen like that's indulgent. But I think that we have to reassess our priorities, number one, because let's put it this way. If you are out of balance, and God forbid, if you get ill, you're no good to anyone. It's a very, very well-known saying. If you're not operating at your best capacity, you're useless. So everything else is irrelevant. And I can tell everyone sitting here, having gone through serious disease, that truly keeping your health in balance should be everybody's priority. Don't wait until you get a really, really frightening wake-up call like I did. So what I decided to do is I said, first off, I'm gonna actually schedule in my me time. I'm gonna schedule it in exactly like it were a meeting or an appointment or a professional obligation, because that at least puts it on the same level of priorities as professional kind of obligations. The second thing is I make sure that I go on a retreat, at least once a year. When I choose to go somewhere on vacation, I mean, vacations are fabulous and we need vacations. But often what they say is when you go on a vacation, you take your mind with you and you take your stresses with you. So I found that the perfect balance for me is to mix up my vacations. So, I'll take one vacation where I'm just going and lying on a beach and having some cocktails, because that's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I make sure that at least once a year, I go on a retreat or a vacation that actually kind of either sort of feeds me holistically, So it could be a yoga retreat. It could be, I started going to a retreat also in the desert in California, where we do juice fasts and a lot of other things. And I've experimented with a lot of things, and I would encourage other people to experiment as well. But the point is to go to a place where your healing and your balance is supported. And there's a lot of options in today's world. So, even starting out maybe, if a week sounds like too much, go for a weekend. Go for a weekend workshop someplace where it's, like I said, like a wellness, holistic, yoga, good eating, addressing your mind, body, spirit. And I guarantee that you'll come out feeling so refreshed and transformed. And that often what happens is because you're immersing yourself in practices, so fully for those few days, that they actually end up having more of an impact on your personal transformation than if you're sort of just doing your yoga class maybe once or twice a week. We have to take time out for yourself every single day. We are so overstretched, and somehow, I don't know how this happened, but we end up feeling guilty about the me time. Especially, for instance, for women, for young mothers, or mothers who are like working and balancing their family and their kids, and and way down the priority list is me or myself. You have to be able to take, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, just to close your eyes, be silent, go inside, and maybe check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I really feeling? What do I need? And what am I going to do about that? It isn't like I have to become better at something. It's actually maybe letting go of that idea that I have to be better. Think about that. Play with that idea. Letting go of stuff that's unnecessary, that isn't you. Whether it's perceptions or ideas or belief systems or, stresses, things that are weighing you down. For instance, having gone through cancer, that what it clarified for me in terms of where my life is today is it helped me let go of a lot of unnecessary stuff. Because when you're dealing with something that is potentially fatal, you know what? You get really smart very quickly as to what is essential in your life and what is non-essential. So the non-essential stuff is what actually, I think, pulls you out of balance in your life. And sometimes you have to just sit down and ask yourself quietly those questions. What don't I need? What is tipping my scale out of balance? And slowly, gently, in a very conscious but gentle way, start letting go of that stuff. You don't need those perceptions. You don't need to sort of carry around that belief system that I'm not good enough and I have to keep working harder and harder and harder, all the time. I mean, you have to really work at making peace with yourself and use yourself as your own best guide. I mean, the ultimate result of all of this kind of asking yourself questions and trying to find balance and, all of these kinds of really holistic pursuits is to become your own guide, and to sort of start understanding and realizing that all the answers you need are actually inside of you. You don't have to search outside of yourself. That takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And it needn't. And you know what? You should just enjoy the ride as well. Don't be in a rush to get anywhere. Those are the few techniques that I use. Like I actually do, sit down at the end of the night. 5 minutes even is good enough, or sometimes I'm on a plane, and just ask myself, just turn the gaze inside and say, so what's pulling me out of balance? What can I let go of? What don't I need in my life right now? And focus rather on what you do need. It's a beautiful ride when you actually embark on this path, when you start walking down this path. It's actually really, really cool. It can be a little scary for the first while because you have to take a lot of personal responsibility, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's the ultimate kind of freedom.